I'm just trying to figure out the alternative viewpoint. I mean, Wake, Clemson, NC State's a tough little stretch there.
Got to play them at some point, right? You can shuffle them, I guess, but I'm fine with it. Look, if we're going to assume that Florida State is in the midst of taking steps forward as a program and getting better, bottom line is you can't look at a schedule like this. Now, look, if I were them, I wouldn't schedule LSU in New Orleans. That's just me. I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't have scheduled that game. I probably would have picked a different group of 5 team than Louisiana, but maybe at the time that they scheduled them, they couldn't have known that was a good team, and we'll see if they're a good team now that they've lost their coach and several significant players. But the point is, the teams on your schedule are on your schedule. You're going to have to play them somewhere along the line. You scheduled LSU, so that's on us, This really is set up about as perfectly as you can have it set up, given the teams that you have to play. And if you're getting better, you can't be scared to play NC State or Wake Forest. I mean, sweet Jesus, can we stop being scared about the road game against Louisville? I mean, we sound so bitch-made half the time, our fan base does, about this schedule every year. I just can't deal with it. We're fine. That schedule's fine. If we're any good at all, it'll go 7 wins, 8 wins, if they're any good at all.
And you got some breaks too, like Louisville plays at UCF, right? The Saturday before. Meanwhile, yes. So they got 6 days before they have to get ready for the Florida State game, or 6 days in between. Meanwhile, you have a week off, so you've got 12 days. And then I think you play Wake Forest right after they played Clemson. You maybe play NC State right after they played Clemson. So yeah, man, again, the at NC State Clemson is a tough one, but I mean, it's not an easy schedule. You got to play teams. I thought overall that you couldn't have asked for a better setup for the schedule you already knew was coming. And you chose yourself, I imagine, to play Florida on a Friday night. So you got 6 days in between Louisiana and Florida. Meanwhile, who knows who Florida's playing that?
Yeah, that Florida game was definitely. Well, Florida's playing Vandy at Vandy the Saturday before.
Oh, all right. Hey, that's no cakewalk.
No, compared to, you'd rather play Louisiana at home, I think, especially with all the changes they're going through, than go on the road to play a conference game. So, I mean, I do think it'll be 2 back-to-back road games for them. So I do think it works out well. I wanted to talk about the Florida game, but you want to follow up on
let's get to that Florida game in 1 second. The only thing I want to add to this is last night after the schedule reveal happened, we're always very quick to have an opinion about a schedule, but we also know that several hours later you start to think about it again. And then you also go team by team and digest what they have before you and after you and where the bye weeks fall and all that. Well, in the midst of doing all that, I had my laptop sitting there and I was listening to you guys talk and I was looking at that schedule and I'm looking at Louisville's schedule. And I'm looking at Florida's schedule. I'm looking at Miami's schedule and Clemson's schedule and Wake's schedule. And anyhow, I get done with it and I turn to my wife and I was like, man, I've got to be wrong because to me, this is perfect. And every time I think of that, then something happens later on and I go, oh, you dumbass, you forgot about this. Man, this really is ideal. I think it's an ideal schedule. And again, Florida State may not be good enough to have the record we want, but from a schedule standpoint, this is to me ideal. I really quickly, before we get to Florida, got to acknowledge Mark. Thank you, Mark, for your contribution. Schedule's fine. Corey, really good article on Warchant. Did you guys see FSU's rap video? Way better than what Brian Bayou Kelly is posting. Just creepy. See you all in NOLA. Yeah. So I haven't seen the video, but I am excited about the schedule. And thank you, Mark, for your contribution.
Could you imagine if Mike Norvell was putting out videos like Brian Kelly?
No, I don't.
Is he doing it to be is he doing it ironically? He has to be, right? Like he knows people are laughing at him.
I don't know, man. I don't know. Why would you do that? I mean, these coaches are so image conscious. Why are you going to do one where you're laughing at yourself? You want to look cool.
It would be ingenious, though, to have known that the misstep you made prior, where you looked like a fool, could not be undone. And
family.
Yeah, thus embrace it all and go over the top and say that was part of a plan. I don't know, because he was so bad that first week.
I'm going to put that with the Willie's quarterback plan and with Jimbo's 5-year plan to give up play calling.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to follow that plan.
I'm just saying, at some point they might have gone, what do we do? Make more stupid videos. Okay, I see you working, Jerry.
You want me to grind up on them? You want me to get it right up on them and grind, right? That's cool, right? Y'all want me to do this? All awesome. And he's cool with it?
Yeah,
I mean, the only reason I could say maybe he's in on the joke is the stupid, Pulp Fiction dance, like he's dancing with Uma Thurman or something.
So perhaps.
So maybe, but still, man, it's just ridiculous.
What was the I didn't see Mark's question about the rap video.
FSU put out FSU to kind of hype up the schedule release. They put out a video yesterday with it's a rap song that they had done, and it's very FSU centric rap. It's similar to the ones we've seen the last few years that like Tariq Knockout has done in the past. He's not in this one. But then they have the players kind of dancing with it, and they're involved with it. I mean, it was fine, man. Just like anything with FSU media, FSU Twitter and social media, there's a bunch of people who loved it. There's a bunch of people who hated it. And I thought it was fine. I mean, it's just, something to do. It was a lot better than what Brian Kelly's been doing.
Well, that's for sure. It would be hard to be any worse than what they've been doing. But anyhow, that said, let's go to the Florida game, the Friday night, the Black Friday game, which we probably acquiesced to, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, definitely driven by TV.
Mm-hmm.
But with all those things, I mean, you kind of are, ACC has an obligation to fulfill so many Thursday night, Friday night, even those Monday night games with the ACC, with those Labor Day games. So Florida State hasn't had a Thursday or Friday the last couple of years, so they definitely were due. And I think the idea of if you're going to do a Thursday game, it's almost always going to have to be on the road. It's basically going to have to be on the road because FSU
we used to be the kings of having to go on the road on a Thursday night.
Because they can't really host, because of all the classrooms at Doak Campbell Stadium, they can't really host a football game that night. Logistically, it's just impossible. So when they got the opportunity to do it on Friday, that makes it possible, especially because it's Thanksgiving weekend. So you don't have those logistical issues. And I think from Florida State's perspective, once they found out that it was going to be prime time, it wasn't going to be early in the day. It's going to be prime time, and it was going to be on a major network, which from what I understand, it's going to be on one of the major networks. It's not going to be on the Deuce or ACC network. Those were things that
the Deuce. Are people still calling it the Deuce?
I am, man. I keep it real. I keep it old school.
It's like when Overman was hosting.
But they're keeping it, as long as it's going to be high profile and on prime time, that made it more interesting. And and to be honest with you, I was concerned about the students. Would they be able to get back, for a game Friday night if they go home to South Florida on Thanksgiving? But really, if the game was at noon, as you mentioned in your column, Corey, if the game was at noon, they would have to come back Friday anyway. So I don't think it's that big of a difference.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is that, if you're a fan, you usually spend Thursday night at home because it's Thanksgiving. All these people are going to be driving in the day of a game, and a lot of people don't like to do that. And I can understand that. It's a 5-hour drive, and you're going to tailgate, and then you're not going to stay Saturday night for sure, because why would you?
Well, guess what? You're paying your 2-night minimum.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess, or you're just bouncing right after the game on Friday night. But yeah, if Florida State's good, it's not going to matter. Like Friday night, Saturday afternoon, you should have a really good crowd. I think what this does is if the two teams are mediocre again, this is what I wrote in the column. If the two teams are mediocre again, it still guarantees a bit of an atmosphere because it'll be a night game, and it's going to be a primetime game, holiday weekend. If it was Saturday at noon, it'd be a sleepy nooner. Who knows how many fans would be in the stadium for 2 6-6, 6-5, or 5-6 teams?
But that ain't happening.
Well, no, I know Florida State will be 11-0. I don't know if they're going to be number 2 or number 3.
It'll be a big game at that point.
I haven't figured out. I know they'll be behind a one-loss SEC team. I just don't know who that SEC team is going to be at. Probably Alabama.
I was going to say maybe multiple.
Yeah,
maybe one or two SEC teams. Yeah.
But they'll have to win it to stay in contention for the playoff. So it's going to be a big game for sure.
Do we do the thing here in the opening segment where we pick the locks, the wins that are guaranteed? We all universally agree Duquesne is a win. And I understand, and there'll be people out there like, well, Jacksonville, stop.
Ain't making that mistake again.
Duquesne is a win, is an absolute lock. I actually think that it's funny, by the way, if you go through the schedule, this might be a weird thing to say just because of our history with them, but I think Georgia Tech is a lock win.
Yeah.
That program is in shambles. This will be the goodbye tour for Coach Collins. I think it's a lock win there. That's 2 of them. And again, if you're playing well, I guess at this point, you would probably look at maybe one more lock win. And
I think Syracuse is a lock.
I think Syracuse is likely a lock. I remember that was a big win for Florida State last year since they were 0-4 and held on for dear life. So I don't know if I like them to win the game. I don't know if I'm going to go lock.
What about Louisiana?
Yeah, I was going to say probably Louisiana, who more important, I don't know, more important, but as important as losing Billy Napier I remember reading right off when all the transfer portal stuff was happening. I'm pretty sure they lost 5 starters to the portal.
Oh, and I mean their quarterback.
Yeah, it's
receiver,
devastating. I would like to think if you're reasonable at all, you that's a lock win. But it pretty much stops there.
In fact, when they were,
but there are no lock losses either.
I think that's accurate.
There's nobody on that schedule that you're like, oh, they got no chance. Nobody.
Okay, maybe not no chance, but I would give less than a 50-50 chance for Florida State to beat Clemson.
Well, yeah,
well, sure, but that's not a lock loss.
No,
last year that was a lock loss.
And they almost won it.
Yeah, so you know what I mean? Like, so I don't think LSU you're not deathly afraid of. It really helped.
Well, if you play this game, I'm sorry, Corey, if you play this game, it's a little bit easier to do. Florida State will be an underdog to LSU, slightly. There'll be an underdog on the road at Louisville, slightly. There'll be an underdog, we think, well, certainly at NC State they will be. There'll be an underdog to Clemson. There'll be an underdog on the road at Miami. Well, we think probably, I don't know, but a toss-up underdog maybe to Florida. We'll see.
That's way to be determined.
Wake is a team that they may very well be an underdog. The one thing about the schedule, and it has less to do with the schedule and more to do with circumstance, Florida State does play a really good set of quarterbacks who've played a ton of football. All the guys are back. The Leary kid at NC State's really good. He's back. The Djokovic kid is back at BC, and he's
Riley
good.
Skinner's back at Wake Forest.
Yeah.
I mean,
so you have a lot of quarterbacks that are on their way back, but again, for year 10. But other than that, I mean, again, that's just circumstance. But we have, I think I've identified 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 games in which Florida State's going to be an underdog.
But not
an underdog by 3 or 4 points.
Mm-hmm. In some cases, sure.
As opposed to, double-digit underdogs, which they've been decent amount the last few years.
We agree. I think, the good thing is, though, if you're improving, if you're getting better here and you're beating the teams you're supposed to beat, you've got a chance to certainly go to a bowl, certainly win 7-8 games. So if that's happening, then that's progress.
Yeah. And I think if they're, look, there's a chance they're 4-1 after the first 5. I mean, there's a crazy chance there could be 5-0 if they win that LSU game, but worst case they're 3-2. But if they're 4-1,
let's hold off now. Hold off. Let's not say worst case they're 3-2. We saw worst case last year.
All right, I'm gonna say, worst case if Mike Norvell is going to be head coach of Florida State in 2023 and beyond.
Well, that's what's fun to do.
You can't be 2-3. I mean,
that's what's fun to do because they could be 2-3.
They could.
And if they are, your point is well taken.
There's going to be problems. I mean, again, I'm not saying they can't lose those games, but man, people are going to, just reality.
Well, you can lose at Louisville, and it wouldn't, again, their quarterback is back again. That guy's been playing forever and a day, and he played lights out against you for a half last year.
So you're going to beat the Duquesne. So that game really is not really in doubt.
No.
So that means you went 1-4 in your next, or 1-3 in your next 4 games. And I think it's not where you need to be in year 3.
Yeah. Well, that means you got to beat Boston College at home.
Yeah.
Yeah. You got to beat Boston College at home. And you should. You should. But it is a losable game. So this is where we get to the meeting of the schedule is favorable. The reality slaps you across the face when you are honest with yourself about each of these games and talking about could you lose them, could you win them, and you find out how many of them are 50-50.
Yeah, it's about all of them. It's about all of them. You play well, you play literally like I bet 3 of their 5 wins this year were probably when they were underdogs. Or 2 of the 5.
Yeah, because they went 0-4 in the games we thought they might win 2 or 3 of them. I mean, that's my whole thing in the beginning is you're going to beat Duquesne. You need to beat Boston College at home. And then you just need to not lose both Louisville and Wake Forest at home. I mean, I'm not, that's not too much.
Louisville's on the road, but Wake is at home.
Yeah, Louisville or Wake Forest at home. One of those 2.
You need to quit losing to Louisville, period.
Right.
Like they can't do to you in football what you've been doing to them in basketball. This is nuts. Let's quit making Louisville look great.
That's where I think, that to me, that's one of the best situations on that hell schedule, which you mentioned earlier. You're coming off a bye. You get the bye again before Louisville, and they're playing at UCF the Saturday before. Man, it sets up really well for Florida State to win this freaking game. You got to beat Louisville. That's a huge game for the season.
Yeah, coming off a bye, you ought to. But again, I think the defense takes a slight step back up front. They've got a mobile quarterback who killed Florida State a year ago. You get nervous about it,
But you got to be able to put up points. I mean, you have to. I mean,
yeah, we kind of feel like that's going to be a shootout already. Here we are projecting. I agree with you. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry books to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
Hi, I'm Andy Cohen with Florida Farm Bureau Insurance. When I was a law enforcement officer, I devoted my life to a career of service and protection. And as an agent with Florida Farm Bureau, I'm continuing that promise. Farm Bureau Insurance has been protecting what matters most for over 75 years. Your home, your auto, your family, your life. Who's protecting you? Give me a call, 850-671-FARM. That's 671-FARM. At Florida Farm Bureau Insurance, helping you is what we do best.
Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop and Lounge has been serving Tallahassee now for over 27 years. And with the addition of their beautiful new location on Cary Forest Parkway a few years back, Jerry's has the largest selection of quality cigars in Tallahassee. So come relax with their large walk-in humidor, state-of-the-art air purifiers, and spacious lounge with over 35 comfy chairs. Jerry's Famous Cigar Shop and Lounge, Tallahassee's fine cigar destination for over a quarter century.
Stuck in an expensive timeshare contract and feel like there's no way out?
I'm almost at $10,000 in 4 years. I've never traveled anywhere.
They made this sound that this would be a really good deal, that I could go anywhere, anytime I wanted to. That never worked out.
I'm Chuck McDowell, CEO of Wesley Financial Group. I've helped thousands of people get rid of their timeshares. I know all the tricks because I'm embarrassed to say I once worked in the timeshare industry. We've saved suffering timeshare owners millions in debt and maintenance fees. When you're approved as a client, I guarantee you a 100% success rate. We'll get you out of your timeshare, eliminate your payments, and get them off of your back permanently.
I honestly would recommend that you call Wesley Financial. They will help you.
Call Wesley Financial Group now for your free information kit. If they can't get you out of your timeshare, you'll pay nothing. Call 800-600-9595. 800-600-9595. That's 800-600-9595.
Well, so far this month has already been a long, cold year. But nothing breaks up the cold like a cozy, warm fireplace in your home from Hearth and Patio. You may not know this, but many of today's modern, environmentally friendly indoor fireplace designs offer amazing energy efficiency. And when you get a new fireplace installed by Hearth and Patio, they will also service the equipment to make sure it lasts for years to come. Something else you may not know, Hearth and Patio can also repair your existing fireplace. I'm going to read you a recent review from a real customer. Don says, our gas fireplace stopped working at a time when we experienced our coldest weather. I called other companies, but the earliest they could send someone out was 10 days. Then I called Hearth and Patio, and they had a technician at my house the next day. He not only was friendly, he fixed the problem and never tried to sell me something I did not need. It was so refreshing. I would not hesitate to call Hearth and Patio again. So the moral of the story is, when you need a fireplace repaired, replaced, or installed, just call Hearth and Patio at 727-4282 or find them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Taking a look at that schedule on Seminole Headlines. It's fun. Everybody debates well in advance of a season and of even spring football what a team's going to be. Acknowledging, though, that we'll have to wait and see. And that's true, too, by the way, of the fact that there could be some other kids come and help that shape the roster. You know, I mean, like you get question marks about certain position groups that aren't completely intact yet. And like we think that before it's all said and done, there might be a quarterback addition to this program. So that'd be a big deal. It'd be a big deal knowing who your backup is.
It's not going to be Caleb Williams, though.
No.
Apparently he said no, and he's going to USC, which it's a bummer.
I mean, that really is a shock. Also, Tom Brady is retiring. Another shock today.
Stunning today.
There was
that
some
it
big news
transpired.
today.
Big news. Yeah.
What was all that about? Why did he come out and have to deny it for 2 days? We all knew it was true. What was all that about?
Well, one, I'm sure it had a lot to do with people paying him large sums of money to do it at a different, medium or venue. He had the show that he runs on SiriusXM, which they moved up 2 days.
Yeah.
The Let's Go show, because I'm forever having to read that promo when I do the Beyond the Tip show. That's on
Old Jim Gray.
Yeah.
Jim Gray. Hey, a little trivia about Jim Gray.
Mm.
He talks to his dog in German.
Okay.
Anyway, go ahead. His dog speaks German.
Nice. So
that is good trivia, though, Corey.
It's very good trivia. And how did you learn this?
I had a buddy that used to work at a radio station, and they would go down for Super Bowl Media Row.
Yeah.
And Jim Gray talked about that on the show.
I talked to my dog in kind of baby talk.
Who wants a bone? Anybody want a bone?
Irish dog understands baby talk.
Yeah, great.
So, point would be that, well, I guess getting back to what we were saying is that I think, and I'm circling back to the schedule, that we're all in agreement: 11-1, 10-2. The ceiling 11-1, the floor 10-2.
Right.
Are we right? Are we all spot on there? We didn't get to that last segment.
It really is. I'm sorry, Corey, but it's you can, again, man, you kind of get yourself worked up. When we were doing the live show last night, the people could still watch. It's on the YouTube channel for Warchant. You kind of you kind of get yourself, you can get ahead of yourself a little bit, and you can envision the scenario where you win this game and this game and this game, but then it plays out entirely differently. But just in the merits, man, I really think that, if we talked about before the schedule came out, before we knew the order of games, was it would be really good for Mike Norvell to win 7 or 8 games this season. Well, the way the schedule is mapped out, it doesn't look like the schedule is going to prevent that from happening.
That's a good way.
So
of
you take away
this.
another, maybe a crutch where, man, the results really start to matter.
Yeah, there's no excuses, right? When you look at this thing, unless there could be a rash of injuries. We have no way of knowing in early February what the injury status in these games will be. But other than that, there's really no excuse schedule wise. And look, man, the reality is August of last year, Clemson was an automatic loss. They weren't even going to be competitive in my mind in that game. That was an automatic loss. Might as well forfeit it. Florida was going to be really tough. They could have and should have won both those games. And then Jacksonville State was supposed to be the laugher, and you lost that one.
Florida wasn't going to be tough. We thought it was an automatic loss. I mean, Florida was really good the year before, and it was down in Gainesville.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, and they could have and should have won that game. Right. So you just never know this far out what you should expect from a team or what these other teams will end up being. Like, we had no way of knowing that Wake was actually pretty darn good last year, was going to be a 10-win team. Still, when you look at that schedule and the way it's broken up, you were not overwhelmed in talent by really anyone, like overwhelmed where you shouldn't even compete in our eyes with anyone.
Clemson's it. If they get decent quarterback play, Clemson's it.
But that's a big if, man.
Right.
That guy isn't very good, and they'd have to play a true freshman, and you never know if true freshmen are going to be good or not. That said, if that guy's awesome, Clemson's going to be a bear again. But there's no reason to think he's going to be as a true freshman because that's a rarity.
I would say, too, and Florida State is improved on the offensive line. I believe that. It's going to be important because in the same vein as Clemson, just in terms of blocking them, on the road at NC State's a problem.
Yes.
They get the quarterback back, and we didn't block them last year.
Yeah, I think to me,
the line of scrimmage is where I look for these things, and then I go to quarterback. Those are back-to-back games that I think Florida State will lose.
Yeah, it's again, though, we don't even know. Like last year, the great Dylan Gibbons didn't even come until like May, right?
Well, that's why I said let's wait until spring camp happens.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So, like,
the roster, and obviously, you also have to get through camp without any devastating injuries. These are all things that help shape our opinion going into the fall.
Yeah, I mean, they could get another offensive lineman. They could get another, quarterback to compete. They could get, but they're not, again, man, I look at that defensive line for Clemson last year, even their backups. I mean, that's, it's going to be a tough day for Florida State.
They lost the best DC in the country, though, and they replaced them with with Dabo's high school buddy or college buddy. So again, it's not like Clemson is the Clemson of 3 years ago. They are beatable. They are gettable.
I get you, man, but some of that's not scheme. It's their dude's a lot better than your dude. And
scheme it up, Norvell. Scheme it up. Come on, man. We're paying. What is he getting paid? He's almost getting paid as much as Auburn's basketball coach.
Not quite close, but yeah.
Yeah, but you do have to. You can only scheme so much if the guy across from you is whipping your ass. So I agree with Ira here. I'm going to go ahead and circle Clemson and NC State as losses, but then from there, listen, I'm more in agreement with you, Corey, in the sense that okay, you can beat Louisville on the road. You can certainly beat Florida at the end of the year here. You can beat Wake Forest. Yes, I agree with that. You could.
And we're, actually of those two, to me, honestly, and I'm probably alone on this, but I actually think NC State's the more daunting task. First of all, Corey, you know how I feel about Carter Finley. But
snake pit.
But second of all,
is that the fair weekend?
Oh man,
if
it is.
Of course, I'm sure it is. In a loss, guys. That better not be the fair.
But it's it's on the road, so your offense isn't going to play quite as well. I think it's a tough matchup. They're going to be really good. I mean, I think they're going to be good. They've become a good program.
Really good. They have. Yeah. It's hard for us to accept that Dave Doran's doing a good job, and he is.
They've become a good program. And then again, if Clemson doesn't fix their quarterback situation coming to Tallahassee, I think Florida State's going to have a decent chance to win that game. But again, what's going to determine the season isn't that game. It's, as you mentioned, it's Louisville, it's Boston College, it's Wake Forest. It's those teams that you have to get past to have a 7 or 8 win season. You've got to stop losing to some of those teams.
Yeah, to garbage ass programs. Just say it. You got to stop losing to garbage ass programs. Stop doing that. I mean, we do that on the regular. We have, but that's part of a rebuild. It's part of a rebuild. I think it stirs deep within me when we're talking about the arduous task of beating BC, Wake, and Louisville. I'm like, okay, guys. We're having this conversation again. And
this isn't what you got into this for.
I know that that's the reality, and I can accept that reality. I don't like it, clearly, but I can accept it. It's just that when we do it, you're kind of, it just brings something out of me. It just hurts.
Imagine if 2 of these receivers, I mean, first, the kid from West Virginia, Winston Wright, is going to be a good receiver. I mean, he's been a good receiver his whole career at West Virginia. That will translate. I don't have any doubt about that. Imagine if one of these other 3 receivers turns into a legit weapon, and
you have better depth on your offensive line.
Better offensive line. If Jordan just keeps getting better, I think that offense could be. I mean, it could be fun to watch for the first time in a long freaking time.
I'm knocking on wood there. I'm knocking on wood, and I'm knocking on wood that they get a viable backup if he has to miss time. You want a guy that because if he missed time last year, you lost. You had 0 chance. It wasn't even competitive if he had to come out. So he can't. I mean, A, knock on wood, he stays healthy. Obviously, everybody wants that for the young man. But B, if for some reason he is missing time, it can't be an automatic loss.
Corey, did you buy Jeff this Hawks jersey?
No, I bought it when I was at the Hawks game.
He wears it a lot, though, which I love. He's representing. They've been playing better lately.
Let me tell you something. I wear this more than I wear half my stuff with the Pirates, the Noles, or the Bucks. And it's because it's the most comfortable sweatshirt I've ever purchased. And God bless the Hawks. This was $15.
What?
$15. I couldn't believe it. I bought one for the whole family. Everybody got a Hawks jersey.
Did you get one, Corey? I didn't get one.
No, and I'm actually a Hawks fan. It's weird.
Yeah, I walked in. I couldn't believe it. My youngest was like, Dad, they've got sweatshirts. So I was like, I'm sure they do. And I was trying to keep walking, trying to keep moving. And he goes, no, look, Dad, this one's cheap. And he was pointing to same design, but it was a black one. And he clearly wanted it. And I said, well, how much is it? And I was expecting $75, $125. And he goes, oh, this one's $20. And I was like, what? And then some of the sizes were 15, some were 25. The most was 25. I was like, this is unbelievable. Should have bought you one.
You still have time.
The reason I was looking at it, Corey, is because Jeff is putting his hands in his hoodie because that's how cold it is in here.
Ooh.
And you're not here to appreciate it.
I'm not
sorry,
cold,
buddy.
I'm not cold. I just like to fondle myself, and I need the cover of the sweatshirt.
Yeah, and he wants us to see it, though.
Yeah.
You like us to know when you're doing it.
Yeah, just absolutely. Well, keep you off guard.
Speaking of quarterbacks, can Chubba transfer back? What are the rules on that, Ira? Is he not allowed to transfer anymore because he's already transferred once?
You can, but then you have to sit out a year once you're at the new school.
What about when you sign your letter of intent?
Or if you're a grad transfer, I guess you could come back. Once you've signed your letter of intent, no, I mean, that's binding. You can transfer, but it would be your one-time transfer.
So all these kids that they signed in December, like the kids we talked to today, AJ Duffy, they could just go and transfer tomorrow, hit the portal tomorrow.
Yeah. That would be their one-time transfer. Yeah.
Oh boy. Yep.
College football landscape is wrought with peril, Corey. This is why you cannot celebrate your gains. Understand that they're tomorrow's losses. And if you're down in the dumps, you go recognize all you got to do is raid somebody else's roster.
So Clemson's bringing back a quarterback that left there 3 or 4 years ago, right?
Yes.
They're bringing back a grad transfer who originally was there.
And then I think lost his job at Northwestern or didn't play well at Northwestern.
It would have been year 6, and he was talking about wanting a coaching job. And he reached out to Dabo, and the Dabo was like, wait a minute. You've still got eligibility because of the COVID year. You want to come on down and play some quarterback?
Have you seen DJ
Have
play?
you seen?
Yeah. You got a real chance, buddy.
Oh, man. It's Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
News now.
The Tallahassee Police Department says no injuries were reported after shots were fired inside a Corvallis Avenue apartment early Monday morning. Officers responded to the shooting in the 1900 block of Corvallis Avenue around 1:34 a.m. The people at the scene told officers there was an impromptu gathering and nothing happened that would cause a shooting. But soon after people left, the shooting happened. Multiple rounds entered the apartment and neighboring apartment. This investigation is still ongoing. In Gadsden County, the Board of Commissioners created a memorial for COVID victims in the county. The memorial in front of the courthouse is set to be a constant reminder of what's been lost. Each flag stands for one of the 164 people that have died from COVID since last fall. The visual is signed for people to remain vigilant and cautious. The memorial also acting as a call to action to keep all residents safe. Commissioner Holt says the board also voted to eventually create a standing memorial for COVID victims similar to the Veterans Memorial in front of the courthouse. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Partly cloudy this afternoon with highs around 69. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 49. Highs level off around 73 tomorrow. A blend of clouds and sun. Mid-70s Thursday, turning cooler Friday with highs in the low 70s and scattered showers possible. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 66.
Every great construction project, whether it's a new addition or renovation, starts with a plan. At T-Spark, we are excited when our clients contact us to assist with that plan. Through our team of architects, draftsmen, engineers, we can help you with your project's planning and design, potentially saving costs in the long run. Whether you have a residential or commercial project, we look forward to working with you. Call us today or visit us at tsparkconstruction.com. License number CGC 1525336.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show.
Chattanooga, Tennessee. Pastor Tabner was alone with a female church employee. She in a towel and he in his boxers. The charismatic 41-year-old Hurley explained the two of them had been making chili and gotten food on the floor. With the hot dogs that they were making, we are hoping that the pastor used the right condiments.
I think there was at least one hot dog involved.
I don't know what you're talking about. We were just making chili dogs. The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines is brought to you by Register Sausage, serving the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. To find a store near you or to buy directly from Registers, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Corey, you're up in Atlanta currently because you're going to be covering Florida State Clemson basketball tomorrow. Now,
that's not accurate at all. I'm not going to that game. What's the matter with you?
Okay, you're not going to that game to cover Florida State Clemson. I thought that's why you were in Atlanta.
That might have been what I told Gene to cover for you. But
so I blew my cut. Well, my son's up here putting in some time because I know I'm going to be down there for most of March with the spring practice.
All
so.
Right. Well, I'm actually happy for you not to be at that game. They're going to that game tomorrow night, and then it feels like this thing's come off the rails a little bit. Some of it's unfortunate, obviously, with guys missing games, but also there are holes in the roster that have been exposed. And damn it, man, our fear, which was I guess, suppressed certainly during a 6-game win streak is right back here at the surface. It's all come back up. So I just was wondering what your line of questions were going to be post the Clemson game. But since you're not going to be there,
it doesn't matter. But I am genuinely curious. Like Naheem McLeod, look, he's still not a guy. He's not Olajuwon. You don't throw him in there and he's going to do 4 little post moves or McHale or somebody like that. But he's been a force the last 3 times he's gotten extensive action. Remember, he didn't win the Duke game for them, but he got them right back in the game to start that second half. Like,
I love
he
where
dominated.
I love where his offense is headed. Yes.
And then Georgia Tech, he was just catching the ball and dunking or getting rebounds and dunking. And then what he did Saturday. But on the other end of the floor, it's such a train wreck, and it's not his fault. He's 7'4". There aren't many 7'4" people on the planet, period. There might be 2 that can guard guys that are 6'2" or 6'3". You just can't do it. So I am genuinely interested. I know Leonard said it before. Will he switch what they do? You can't have Naheem McLeod on the floor on defense if you're going to switch 1 through 5. He can't do it at this level. And again, it's not his fault, but you need him on the other level. So I feel like, buddy, this is part of coaching. Figure out your roster for this year and make sure you can come up with a defensive system where Naheem McLeod isn't a liability.
Well, Ira brought this up on the Jeff Cameron show yesterday, which was that we've heard Leonard say this before, but he is really stubborn in that regard.
Well,
and sometimes it's worked out.
And we talked to him today, and he was kind of already hedging that comment. And so my point, though, is what bothers me a little bit about this conversation is everybody acts like it's all or nothing, or that defensive scheme is the problem, or that Naheem McLeod is the problem because he can't guard the other team's point guard. There's the other side of that, though. If you scrap what they do and you stop doing that, then teams can run their offense. Like, the benefit of doing that is nobody that FSU plays gets to run their offense ever. That's why Louisville lost to them every time. That's why Virginia has struggled against them the last couple times. These teams that have really good offenses struggle when they play Florida State because they can't run it. So what you get is Miami doing their ISO stuff, Georgia Tech doing their ISO stuff, Virginia. So the bad part of it is if you can't figure it out, you can give up, you can get burned at times. The good part of it is nobody gets to run their offense against you. So if you just go back to doing more of a traditional defense, well, now you got another problem. That's all I'm saying. It doesn't fix everything.
I would say the difference is, though, when they needed stops the last year and a half, Malik Osborne has played center. That was their go-to lineup when it mattered.
Also was good defensively too.
Well, he was kind of a freak in that regard, but mainly they would go small, especially this year. You know, the Georgia Tech game, remember, they gave up 8 threes in the first half. They gave up 44 points in the first half to Georgia Tech, and that was because Malik Osborne came out of the game, and they had to play the big kids who can't stay in front of people. With Malik Osborne not an option, you can't go small. I mean, you got to figure out something, but either that or you got to play Prieto at the 5. Like, you can't. They don't have the option of going small anymore with somebody like Osborne. I don't know what their small lineup is even is now. Who's the, like is I don't even know who the center would be. Cleveland, Fletcher. Like
that was an interesting game because usually what happens is when 2 teams have contrasting styles, one will have to adjust to the other.
Yeah.
In that game, it was like both teams just doubled down. You know, Virginia Tech's like, we're going to go smaller and smaller and smaller.
Right.
And Florida State's like, we're going to go bigger and bigger and bigger.
And offensively, you knew for Florida State, okay, fine.
That's how Naheem got all those dunks.
You're going to get all those dunks, right? On the other end, then you felt helpless, and it was a matter of, okay, who's going to give in first?
But if that kid doesn't hit 4 threes in a minute and a half, you're in that game. 62-60. It's not like they were without 3 of your best players.
No,
I mean, that's the part nobody even wants to talk about, and it's all about scheme, and they got to change what they do. You didn't have – I mean, you're not going to have Osborne anymore, but they found out the day before that game that Osborne's done for the season. Then at game time, they find out they're not going to have Raekwon Evans or basically Caleb Mills. I mean, that's a big part of it too, and nobody seems to really talk about that.
Well, and the reason, yes, and it matters, obviously. You lose personnel, you lose games. It's tough, especially if you already have holes in your roster. I think people don't talk about it just because you've now lost to the 2 bottom feeders of the ACC in back-to-back games, and the frustration is mounted to a place where we say, well, this isn't working, so you're going to have to do something. And it's human nature to respond that way when you lose to 2 bad basketball teams, including when somebody breaks a record in your own building.
For sure. But I also think if Mills, and it sounds like when we talked to Leonard today, it sounds like he's more hopeful that Caleb Mills will play and Raekwon Evans will play. Raekwon practiced yesterday. They think Caleb Mills is going to practice today. If those 2 guys play against Clemson, we'll see, man. I'm not chalking it up as a guaranteed loss. I don't think this season's over, but from a big picture standpoint, I would say the most important thing that happens for Florida State over the next 6 months isn't making the NCAA tournament. It's making sure all these guys come back, because if they do, this team could be unreal next season.
Yeah, they could be good. And that's kind of what I look towards is what you've seen out of McLeod is something you haven't seen out of an FSU center, I don't know, since like Bernard James, where it's just 4 dunks a game. And he's a big kid. He's put together, and he's still, I think, just a sophomore. And you start thinking about his future, and that he could be a legitimate force. And that's what I'm saying. Like I think he's somebody you got to coach long term into. I don't know that he could ever do what they want on the defensive end. I don't know that he has the necessities to stay in front of people. I counted it up last night. Of the 18 threes they hit, 8 were on switches where he had to pick up someone.
Let me ask you this though. Weren't we and they saying the same thing about Balsha before last season?
I don't remember. Honestly, I don't. But I guess that
Balsha could not do it at all. And then his second year he could. This is Naheem's first year, is all I'm saying. That it's not just about can you physically do. There are things you can do to learn how to do it. Even
or
at
to hide your lack of
because you have the help defense. It's not just one guy playing against one guy. There are other guys that can help you, but it's how to use that help. I mean, there's a lot of pieces to it. I'm just saying Balsha made unbelievable strides. I couldn't believe how well he did it in his second year compared to his first year.
Yeah. And he moved like a 6'5" guy to me. Like he could handle the ball like a 6'5" guy. Balsa was they could use him, gang. Yeah, they could use him. I hope he's sleeping well. Same with Scotty Barnes, man. Great. Awesome. You might win Rookie of the Year. Awesome. Great. You could be at Florida State going to another NCAA tournament, buddy. Hope you're happy.
A little bit different there. The Balsa one pisses me off. The Scotty Barnes one, I think we certainly saw coming. I don't know if it pisses me off for Balsa, but we kind of like, come on, man. He would have been dominant this year.
Oh,
don't you think the biggest the thing I texted Ira this during the game is I want to see what Cameron Fletcher is. Like I want him to get some extensive minutes. Look, the ceiling is only so high. Losing Malik Osborne.
Got problems. It's a devastating loss. Of Malik Osborne listen, this was already a team with a lot of holes. Now they're devastated.
That was a critical one because of what he does defensively. He is a 6'8" kid that can stay in front of everybody. He's just a really good defensively and was a veteran leader. But I want to see what Fletcher is because he's got, he had that block in that game on Saturday. He had a couple nice dunks, a follow
of greatness all the time.
But then he also leaves Couture in the corner to help on a guy that's not even going to the basket and leaves him. Those things. Cleveland getting caught on screens and fouling 3-pointers. It's all this inexperience that shows up. But Ira's right, man. I think you can see the makings of a really strong nucleus. These freshmen, Butler, has got to put on 100 pounds, but that kid is got some real skill to him. McLeod is turned into Shaq, and then we know what Cleveland is. And Fletcher, I think Fletcher's that wild card, man. He could be really special, I think, if it all comes together for him. He's certainly got the ability.
And Caleb Mills, and then if Worley
turns the corner,
it's just that group is, and when you talk about the roster, management and transfers coming in, and they've got a big recruiting class coming in, but it wouldn't shock me to see Leonard bring in a transfer because he was really impressed by some of the transfers they've gone against this season. So,
why don't they get one of those kids from Virginia Tech?
Yeah,
pick one
kid. How about that kid? So he was a 3-star, I think 2 or 3-star kid out of Orlando that nobody was really recruiting. And he gets to sign with Virginia Tech, comes down here and hits 9 threes.
That'll hurt your feelings.
I'm not advocating violence, but
I have on more than one occasion going all the way back to Scott Wood. And I said, look, you can run through a guy.
And he didn't hit 9.
No, you can run through a guy. You can slip. Your shoulder can hit their loins. Things can happen. You can say, sorry about that. It's a little slippery out here.
Yeah. Good shot, though. Good shot. I like the way you're shooting.
Don't know what to tell you.
So you're advocating shoulders into the nether region.
Oh, without question. After about the 5th one where that guy's not going to miss, we're going to foul the hell out of you.
That's the thing about this conference, too.
Row, buddy.
And you've seen it with Caleb Mills, especially in the NBA. sometimes, like at the end of the game, it didn't matter where Florida State was on that kid. He was going to make his shot.
Well,
like it isn't.
Started making,
That's why you don't give him the easy ones early. Yeah, you've seen it with Caleb Mills too. Like, man, it doesn't matter if you're guarding him. If he's feeling it, it's going in. Just start running back on defense. It's crazy how talented some of these shooters are now.
Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
You are approaching retirement. There are a lot of questions to answer. Do you have enough money to fund your income for life? How should you claim Social Security? And what's your plan for health care and long-term care? Pete Tyson and Preservation Financial Group are here to help you preserve your retirement. The team at Preservation Financial Group can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create a comprehensive income plan designed around your needs. Don't leave your retirement to chance. It's crucial to understand and address relevant risk before you retire. To schedule a free, no-obligation consultation, reach out to Pete Tyson and Preservation Financial Group today. 850-523-6118. That's 850-523-6118. Or visit them online at preservationfinancialgroup.com.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
I called Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up the fun when I want to.
I called Tallahassee Car Care and they're fixing my car when I want to.
Hey, what are you doing? This is a Swain Pools and Spas commercial.
I'm turning it into a Tallahassee Car Care commercial.
But Swain Pools and Spas is a full-service shop offering sales, renovation, supplies, and more for years.
And Tallahassee Car Care is a full-service shop offering brake and tire service, batteries, oil changes, and more for years.
But people go to Swain Pools for quality and reliability. Nobody knows more about pools and spas, and Swain has new Caldera spas in stock right now.
And people go to Tallahassee Car Care for their 5-star service at great prices, with most maintenance done by their certified technicians while you wait.
You know what? Just look for the big Swain sign on West Tharp Street, because Swain Pools and Tallahassee Car Care are under the same roof. Online at SwainPools.com.
Online at TallahasseeCarCare.com.
Swain Pools and Spas.
Many orthodontists in Tallahassee can straighten a smile, but at Birch Orthodontics, they're dedicated to providing the finest care possible. The experienced and friendly staff is trained in all of the latest techniques. So whether you need standard treatment like braces or Invisalign, or you have a more complicated case requiring extra attention, Birch Orthodontics is here for you. Set up your free consultation today by visiting birchorthodontics.com, BURCH orthodontics.com, or call 850-877-1692. At Birch Orthodontics, they create beautiful smiles that last a lifetime.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
Next hour, we'll get the headliner questions as always. As we round out this hour, Ira, you wrote a piece, warchant.com. Reference it. Let's talk about it, because it's Mr. Alford basically telling everybody that you're going to be held accountable.
Yeah, I went over and met with FSU's new athletic director, Michael Alford, a couple of weeks ago, and I've been working on this story. And it's basically kind of what I was interested in. You know, every time we talk to him, or every time we talk to David Coburn in the last couple of years, we focus so much on the buildings. You know, when's the football facility going to be built? When are you going to renovate Doak? When are you going to renovate
Dick Hauser Stadium, cesspool?
And really, a lot of those answers are not concrete because they're still in the process. You know, they're either in the design phase with the renovation, or with building the football facility, still raising money. They're still trying to sell the concept of the Doak renovations. We'll see what happens with Hauser. But anyway, so in this interview, in this story, I want to focus more on how he's going to go about, leading the department. I mean, this is a department, I wrote about it and we've talked about it when David Coburn, they announced he was going to retire, is that this is really a chance for a fresh start for Florida State athletics. This has been really since Dave Hart left, that Florida State's really got a unified vision between football coach, boosters, athletic director, the boosters, the board of trustees. They're all kind of on the same page now. It's been a long, long time. And so I was curious just kind of how he's going to go about his leadership. What's his leadership style? How is he going to prioritize his list? I mean, obviously he's got a list of things he wants to get to. How does he prioritize that? And so the story is mostly kind of looking at that. But the big picture is, he's definitely a guy who's going to be, he's all about, he wants metrics. I mean, when he went to Seminole Boosters, Andy Miller ran Seminole Boosters for 45 years, did a great job building it, turning it into what it was. And it was a very successful entity, but it was always kind of run in that style of just kind of a down home, you don't want to say a mom, it was a multi-million-dollar operation, but it was just kind of an old school approach. When Michael Alford took over Seminole Boosters, I mean, he put in like digital, almost like tote boards in his office where he would track how many phone calls everybody on the staff made, the booster sales reps, how much revenue they generated each day. I mean, he's tracking every detail.
He's going to be like Alec Baldwin and
when
Gary Glenn Ross.
And so I was curious, okay, how do you apply that to an athletics department? And he's like, oh, I've got metrics for the athletics department, for every department.
You either do or you don't.
And so that comes across is that, he's going to be very demanding, but he also said he's going to pour more into, he's going to fight and get more resources for people to do their jobs better. So it's a two-way street. On the one hand, he's going to demand a lot more, but he also says he's going to bring in better people to come train employees in different departments. He's really big in investing on that, but he wants the people who are there to compete at their jobs the way, the athletes and coaches do at their jobs. So I think it's interesting. The whole story is at warchant.com.
Are there numbers yet, Ira? Is how many, because I followed them on Twitter, and it's like, I think like late December, they had like 2,800 booster members, and now it's like 4,100 or 40. It seems like they're making inroads and gaining, and they're not all huge money boosters, but they're boosters.
Yeah. One of his big initiatives when he's running Seminole Boosters was the number. There's been times where Florida State's had 17,000 annual donors. That number dipped down to like 9,000 the last few years. And part of the reason is they've always tied it to football ticket sales. And what they've done the last couple of years, what Mike Alford really has done is try to appeal to donors to give, even if you're not going to buy season tickets for football. If you live too far away or you're just not interested in football, you could still be a booster. So he really did a grassroots effort, as you mentioned, on social media to get people, even lower level boosters, but even higher level boosters, and separated from the football ticket sales. And they've brought in several thousand new donors.
Smart to separate it from the football ticket sales, given the vast amounts of sucking that have taken place over the last 5 years.
It puts you so. I mean, it became that wave where football's doing well.
Good, you made money.
Exactly.
If it didn't, you have no chance.
So they're trying to kind of even that out. But yeah, I mean, I think he did a good job with Seminole Boosters, and I think I think they're excited about what he can do for the athletics department. But it's going to be it's going to be an awakening because it's going to be a different approach.
Good. Yeah. Everybody being held accountable. There we go. That's what I like to hear. It's a great article, and there's a lot more to it than just that, by the way. Go to warchant.com to read that, vet that, all the information that's there. It's a good piece, Ira. We've got hour number 2 forthcoming, of course, as always. Headliner questions. Stay with us.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show, live and locally. Greta Tallahassee.
Breaking news this hour from townhall.com. I'm John Scott. The White House is beginning its outreach to the Senate about the upcoming vacancy on the Supreme Court. White House correspondent Greg Clugston reports.
President Biden today will meet with the top Democrat and top Republican from the Senate Judiciary Committee.
The president is going to host Chairman Durbin and Ranking Member Grassley at the White House to consult with them and hear their advice about this vacancy.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki. Last week, Justice Stephen Breyer announced his retirement. The president has pledged to name the first black woman to the high court and plans to announce his nominee later this month. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Also at townhall.com, thousands of New York City police officers expected to attend a wake at St. Patrick's Cathedral to honor one of the 2 officers killed at a Harlem apartment. 27-year-old officer Wilbert Mora and 22-year-old officer Jason Rivera were shot while responding to a domestic call. A viewing for more will be held at the Cathedral this afternoon and evening. A major winter storm expected to affect a huge swath of the U.S., with heavy snow starting in the Rockies and freezing rain as far south as Texas before it drops snow and ice on the Midwest. In consumer news, Tesla recalling nearly 54,000 cars and SUVs because their full self-driving software lets them roll through stop signs.
Federal safety regulators say Tesla will disable the feature with an over-the-internet software update. The rolling stop feature allows vehicles to go through intersections with always stop signs at up to 5.6 miles per hour. The recall shows that Tesla programmed its vehicles to violate the law in most states, where police will ticket drivers for disregarding stop signs.
Correspondent Rich Thomason. On Wall Street, the Dow is ahead 75 points, but the NASDAQ is down 3 points. More at townhall.com.
In today's America, you can now lose your job for calling a man he if he decides he no longer feels like a man. Meanwhile, children are being pumped full of puberty-blocking drugs or even hormones for exhibiting confusion about their sex, making permanent a confusion that studies show will likely pass with time. How have we gotten to this point? The compelling new documentary, The Tragedy of Gender Confusion, exposes the twisted ideology that's capturing an entire generation.
Schools are lining up to push the transgender agenda on kids.
Anyone who challenges this new gender orthodoxy risks being canceled. And in fact, this documentary has already been banned from online streaming and can no longer be seen at Salem Now. The only way to see this incredible truth-telling program is on DVD. Get the DVD that corporate media doesn't want you to see. The Tragedy of Gender Confusion at salemnowstore.com.
Hi, I'm Jeff, founder of Which Superior Sandwiches, and I'm here to tell you about our signature witch, the Wicked. Why call it the Wicked? Some say it's wicked tasty, some say it's wicked large. One thing's for sure, with oven-roasted turkey, ham, pepperoni, roast beef, and bacon, as well as your choice of 3 cheeses, it definitely takes you from wicked hungry to wicked happy in just a few wicked good bites. Only at Which Superior Sandwiches.
On Wednesday, the Wicked is just $5. 5 meats, 3 cheeses, $5.
Live and living color and totally free. Subscribe to Warchant TV on YouTube, the digital home of Warchant.com. From the practice field to pregame and the phone calls afterwards, Warchant's YouTube channel is home to live programming like Seminole Headlines, Wake Up Warchant, The Jeff Cameron Show, as well as Trench Talk, a live Q&A with Noles offensive lineman Devontae Love-Taylor. Just search Warchant on YouTube and click or tap the subscribe button. That's it. It's totally free. Warchant TV on YouTube. Just another reason we're the ultimate Seminole sports source.
It's time for Seminole Headlines, featuring Warchant.com's Jeff Cameron, managing editor Ira Schofel, and senior writer Corey Clark. Your weekly dose of all things FSU, pistols, and pies starts right now. Here's Jeff Cameron.
Hour number 2, headliner questions are forthcoming. This is Seminole Headlines in this hour, brought to you by our friends, Birch Orthodontics. I can't do the big yay Birch Orthodontics.
Yay
I should.
braces.
Yeah, yay braces. That's right.
Yay Invisalign. Yay customer service.
Quality work.
Yay attractive assistance.
Oh man, you're gonna just dying to get yourself in trouble.
He just can't. He can't stop. Won't stop.
We're trying to sell everything, every aspect about the place, Ira.
So attractive staff is gonna be the key to them.
Well, it's just one other. It's one other asset.
Look,
it's just another strength.
If it's another box that needs to be checked off on your checklist, then go ahead and check it off.
Hey, next time, maybe you just don't need to chime in on the Birch Orthodontics.
I'll mute myself.
How about that? BirchOrthodox.com is their website. You can set up a free consultation if you or your kids, family members, friends, just strangers. You see kids with jaggedy teeth,
the homeless,
bring them over, bring them in. They'll see if they can take care of them. But really, again, my kids had one of my kids particularly had a special case that we thought was going to need surgery, but Dr. Birch and her staff took so much time and really just did a great job. So we didn't need the surgery, which was great because you don't want your middle school kid to have to go through jaw surgery.
No, that's tough.
But they do a great job. And really, again, it's another Seminole owned business. They do great work, great customer service. And according to Corey, they're
also have very attractive staff members.
Yes. According to Stephanie, I've never even been in the place.
It's an added bonus.
It's a woman's opinion.
Right. That you really reiterate.
every time.
I do. I want to hammer that point home.
Nolinga writes, any chance that the NIL will help Ham keep some of those borderline NBA players for more than a year?
That's going to be the key. I mean, really, and I think they, for the most part, they should. I think right now I would assume that they're all going to stay, and if they do, this team could be loaded next year. I do think Matthew Cleveland's going to be an enticing prospect just because of what even when they're not playing well, I mean, you still see flashes of what he
physical,
can do.
Yeah. But he hasn't played great lately, so keep it up, Matthew.
Well, or go play awesome and take him to a Final Four. Nothing in between.
No.
Either get him to a Final Four or keep shooting 30%. You just wonder how much of Rising Spear NIL money is being funneled towards Leonard's program.
I wonder how much money Rising Spear has been able to produce.
And they're not all. I mean, look, they're not the only entity for NIL. I mean, there's other businesses that people can step up in other ways. Any business could step up and do an NIL deal.
And by all means.
So it's not just I think we're looking at these couple guys that started Rising Spear as like they've got to figure it out. I mean, Florida State is a program, but also if this legislation goes through where Florida State can be more involved, all the state schools can be more involved in the process. That will help as well because now they can be more active in that area. Right now, they're not allowed to broker these deals.
We could combine our money to at least get Cleveland to stay.
You think? Yeah, if you're involved.
Well,
Jeff and I might be able to keep.
I don't know, buddy.
We might be able to keep the big guy. We might be able to Naheem. We might be able to keep Naheem happy.
Well,
but I got to
sponsor. You would sponsor Ngam, wouldn't
I
you?
would. If Ngam had another year,
100 bones for Ngam. Burke writes, "What would you consider the trap game on the schedule? At NC State looks like a tough spot on the road before Clemson, but they're always a challenge. Could Syracuse surprise us? Actually, I think if you're going to talk about a trap game." I suppose Syracuse is as good as any to note on there. Maybe Boston College because they have a very good quarterback and it's after you play Louisville and before you play Wake.
So, I'm of the opinion if you've had 4 straight losing seasons, there isn't a trap game.
There's no such thing.
They don't exist.
15 is it?
I will 100% tell you right now, I will not cover Florida State football if they lose to Duquesne. I won't cover it. It will not be talked about on the Jeff Cameron Show. You guys can listen to some other program. I won't talk about it. If they lose to Duquesne, do you realize who Duquesne is?
What would you talk about?
Anything. Anything would be better than Florida State football at that point. If you lose to Duquesne, fire that entire staff on the spot. I mean it. Fire everyone.
Yeah.
I'm
Let
serious.
us coach out the season.
Well, you couldn't do worse. You legitimately would have to fire everybody involved in the program if they lost to Duquesne.
So we're going to call we're calling Duquesne a must win. Is what we're calling.
If those people want to remain employed and have their program talked about in any shape or form, yes, absolutely, no chance you can lose to Duquesne.
All right, we've got our one must win.
Circling. It's the opener at home. Boy, we'll all be nervous. Nellie's walking in on the 27th, won't we? Sure hope they don't blow it up after today, boys. Good Lord. No, I don't know. Trap game I would say BC because they've got a very good quarterback coming back. They're a well-coached team, and you have Louisville the week before, and you have Wake the following week who blew you out last year.
But like Corey said, it's hard to imagine Florida State at this point having a trap game.
You certainly can't overlook anybody, right?
Yes.
You can't overlook anyone.
How could you? How could you possibly overlook anyone?
I didn't think it would take long to get to this question, and it didn't. Byron wants to know our thoughts on the Dugans extension. I'm surprised by it. I would suggest it means that they maybe couldn't get people they wanted or that they went after somebody that took a different job. I don't know. I don't think there's any evidence that Coach Dugans would have been your guy coming back that you felt good about. But I don't know. I'm not behind the scenes there. I just think it's surprising.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that. Just especially over the long term. I mean, the last couple of weeks, once nothing had happened and he was back recruiting again, he was very active in recruiting the last week or two. It seemed like, okay, this is going to happen. He's going to stay. But, certainly wasn't a big vote of confidence when they waited till January 31st to extend him. Now, Odell also got extended. That was announced yesterday as well. But we never thought there was any question that Odell was coming back. So, my guess is that they had some other people. There were reports about a couple other candidates that they were targeting, and it didn't work out. And so they're sticking with Ron Dugans. We'll see. I don't think that that's going to be the difference between this being a great season or not a great season. But I think as people are evaluating Mike Norvell and how
it's not a positive check,
keeps together a staff, it's concerning because that position is not produced and they haven't recruited well. at that position.
Corey doesn't care to add anything to that? No?
Nope, I agreed with Ira. With everything Ira said.
All right. So Sir Stuart Wallace writes, if by some chance, Jeff, you were to have another son, would his name be Joe or Burrow? Yeah, that's good. I'm a huge fan. I was ever since he was at LSU, and I've talked him up, and thankfully the young man's come through for me personally. Very proud of him. Proud of Joe.
You gonna be rooting for the Bengals, I would imagine?
Of course. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I hope they beat the brakes off the Rams. They won't, but I hope they do. I'd love to see it. Happy for Cam Akers, and I'm happy for Auden Tate, who is on the Bengals roster.
If it was Cincinnati and San Fran, it was taking me back to my college days.
I know. I was going to say that was the game. I was really looking forward to that.
Tim Crumatai or whatever that guy's name was.
Oh, it blew out his leg. Oh, it's disgusting.
Idiots.
That's the main thing I remember from that game. Burrow's impressive, man. The way he carries himself, though, I just feel, man, there's some Johnny football there. Like, I just feel like there's going to be some.
You think there's a comeuppance?
I don't know. What do you think, Corey?
I think he does it tongue in cheek. I think it's a wink and a nod there.
Again, I think we talked about it when he was at LSU, like the slick back hair, the cigar. He reminds you of like the villain in an 80s high school movie.
Right.
Like where he's taking the nerd and dumping him in the trash can. But to everybody else, he's really nice. But somebody gets a glimpse behind the scenes and he's beating up nerds and taking their glasses. But we haven't seen the behind the scenes thing yet. So he might genuinely just be a cool guy that is really, really good at football. But I haven't. He's early on now. Let's see. Like there's still a part of me like Ira that thinks that he's kicking children as he walks past.
He's kicking 7-year-olds in the street.
He's certainly playing up an image, but I do think as it relates to the locker room and to fellow football players, it's pretty clear they love his ass. Yeah, I mean that
resonates.
That resonates big time. Well, yeah, big time. Dad guy writes the ultimate kiss, marry, kill. Clemson, Florida, Miami. Go. Kiss.
You could kiss Dabo, right?
Kiss Clemson, kill Miami. No, marry. No, I can't marry Florida. Ugh.
You kill Florida. Well, you'd kill Miami.
I'd kill Miami before I'd kill Florida.
I guess I'd kiss Miami and
I can't marry Clemson. Good Lord. Look where I'd have to be.
That's a tough one when you're talking about football programs.
Oh, that's awful. I don't like this exercise, Dad guy. We're not going to do it.
We're moving on.
We've already moved on. More people. Scott wants to know, for example, what we think about the video. I haven't seen the music video. I'm pretty terrible these days on social media. I don't spend as much time as I used to on it. I probably should get back to it so I would know what the hell folks are talking about.
Corey, you didn't see you were on Twitter. You didn't see this at all yesterday?
No, I'm sorry. That's why I wonder, is it cringeworthy, Ira? Would you say it's cringy? And
I do not, but there are some people who are, and there's some people who do. That's what it's hard to get a consensus.
Is it controversial? Does anybody care?
No, it's just, here's the thing.
It's not MLK with a Florida State
God, no.
glove.
I would have heard of this. It's no.
It's one of those things where you're putting yourself out there. Like Mike Norvell is not afraid to put himself out there, put the program out there, kind of be a little bit aggressive and edgy a little bit. They didn't. My point is, they didn't have to do anything.
No,
but they chose to put out this rap video, and it's not the players.
I gotta go see it now. I mean,
it is.
I'm gonna watch it during the break.
I don't think you'll hate it, and I don't think anybody should hate it. Are there people that do? Yes, because it's FSU Twitter.
Well, yeah, they don't really count. I mean, I'm not worried.
But there are some people who like it, and whatever, man. It's just having fun. It's better. Again, man. It's on the. I'm rating everything on the Brian Kelly dancing scale. And I think
there's no chance. You'd have to really work hard to surpass something that
you would have to take a live dump and just tweet it out.
Oh my goodness,
to be worse than what Brian Kelly's doing. It is nuts what he's doing.
Yeah. Matt writes, is the UF game being on Friday going to hurt with recruiting and official visits? Since a lot of the kids, they'll want to be playing in FHSAA regional matchups. I just don't get it being on a Friday night. That's all money-driven, TV-driven, Matt.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's probably a wash. I mean, really, because you're not – if kids are playing on a Friday night in South Florida and you're playing at noon on Saturday, is it really that big of a difference? I mean, I think people are – it might be an inconvenience for some people, yes. But again, the alternative, if FSU said no and we're not going to play this Friday night game, then there probably would have been a Thursday on the road that they would have had to play or something else. So
it's a trade-off.
It's not like this was Florida State's first choice, but I think they made the best of a tough situation, or not even a tough situation, just the practical reality of being in a conference with a TV contract.
Well, FSU fans would counter that, Ira, and say, well, they're already doing a road Friday night game already earlier in the season. So now they're doing 2. Look, the difference probably between a noon game.
A couple of years.
No, I know. Yeah, they owed them, but you could also understand like Florida State fans being okay. Florida hasn't played here in 3 years. Florida State had to go there the last 2 years to play at Florida, and then they come here and it's on a Friday night, the day after Thanksgiving. It's not exactly ideal.
Are not in love with it. I will tell you that. I'm sure local businesses are irate.
Yeah,
they typically are, and they've been given a reason to be irate over the last several years because of Florida State scheduling.
Yes, and hotels.
But I think you're conflating 2 topics, Corey. The whole COVID thing and scheduling, and that. I mean, it's not like the ACC did that.
Right.
No, I'm not saying they're mad at the ACC necessarily for having to go to Florida twice. I'm just saying you as a fan, you could be kind of bummed that it's not a normal Saturday after Thanksgiving. It's a Friday night. I mean, we go to the games regardless, but some of these people, it is their week. It's a fun weekend for them, and it got moved up a day.
I think it's legit to say that they might be bummed, but it's something they'll overcome, especially if Florida State's pretty good.
And
Florida State will be 11-0, like we've already talked about.
I think it's a game that's going to grow on people. I think as it gets closer, because you will know, part of the problem, and Mike Alford mentioned it in the release in his quote, what I thought was a good point, was that, the one nice thing about this is, it's going to be they know it's going to be a primetime game.
Yeah.
If otherwise it could have been 6-day optioned, and then, it's Sunday, the week before, and you don't even know, are they playing at noon? Are they playing at 8 o'clock?
I'm pumped, by the way.
Yeah.
I love a good Friday night game.
Let's
I'm
go.
excited to go over the Doak on a Friday night. Cool weather in the air. Stomp that ass. Enjoy your Saturday. Forget about it.
Let's go.
Watch all the other games on Saturday while you're boozing it up in celebration of your big win.
It also gives you an extra day to prepare for the ACC championship game.
That's something we haven't
talked about yet.
As pointed out by Stevens in the next question, how genius was the move by the Noles to schedule Florida on Black Friday, allowing for that extra day of prep prior to our ACC championship game.
That's what
the rematch against the Canes.
Well done, Stevens. Well done. Donald writes, fellas, good afternoon. Thanks for the great content you put out each and every week. If you could take this schedule and rearrange the games, how would the games fall? I'm pretty much going to leave them where they are. I have no real problem with it. I'm rearrange a game. Let's see. Maybe I would put Syracuse where BC is. Maybe. I really don't have a problem where these games sit. I'll tell you what I wouldn't have done. I would not have scheduled LSU. And I probably would not have scheduled Louisiana out of the group of 5. I would have picked some other lame ass team that we would have railroaded pretty quickly. But
there's no rule you can't play Duquesne like 4 times. That's 4 easy dubs.
I would not have played LSU. But hey, listen, I'm not afraid. I just want an automatic win. You need to garner automatic wins. I'm thinking the Bill Snyder approach from back in the day at K-State. Yeah. He got ridiculed all the time. Right into a bowl game is what he said. So, we have fallen on a hard time, kids.
But they've also been told, I mean, and look, man, this is where it's going.
It's money thing. Right?
Well, but they're all, it's in with the alliance, with the scheduling, where they're going to start scheduling, Big 10 teams and Pac-12 teams. I mean, they're not going to be playing a lot of these Duquesnes in the future.
Well, they shouldn't be playing Duquesne, period. But yeah. But if you're going to do it in the future, I just will continue to beat this drum. Let's be home and home, please.
Yeah, that wasn't their choice. Yeah. They will be.
Yeah,
that is the direction.
Because I don't want to play Oregon in Dallas. Let's go to Oregon and play them there. I mean, that's ideal. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV continues in a moment.
When shopping at a gun store, let's start with a friendly and knowledgeable staff. Then add top-notch service, great selection and pricing, and a personal shopping experience only found at a locally owned and operated business. And Red Hills Arms, they're right on target. While other gun stores come and go, Red Hills Arms remains Tallahassee's go-to local gun store for all your firearms needs. Stop by today and get welcomed in like family.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall.
Featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really? The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games.
Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Are you nearing retirement or already retired? Are you concerned with taking too much stock market risk? Tune in every Saturday from 12 to 1 for Preserving Your Retirement with Pete Tyson and see how just 1 hour of radio could change the rest of your life.
Let's be honest, we all have way too much stuff. Maybe your storage closet is full, your garage is full, or the guest bedroom is a mess. Call Southeast Portable Buildings, 580-6400, or visit them online at southeastportablebuildings.com.
Refreshing and simple. 2 words you don't hear many people use to describe their experience going through the process of getting a home loan. That's what puts the Hamilton Home Loans experience in a category all their own. If you're buying or refinancing a home, Hamilton Home Loans will provide a personalized mortgage experience that is dedicated to making the process refreshingly simple. It all begins with an initial consultation with an experienced Hamilton Home Loans advisor to find out what your goals are in order to find the right mortgage to suit your specific needs. Then, your personal home loan advisor will take you through all the steps from application, underwriting, approval, and closing, all the way to the front steps of your new home. Once you've experienced the Hamilton Home Loan process, you can be a customer for life and never have to pay lender fees again. For first responders, nurses, physician assistants, teachers, active and retired military, ask about the Hamilton for Heroes program. Personalized attention with your needs put first. Now that's refreshingly simple. Find out more at HamiltonHomeLoans.com. That's HamiltonHomeLoans.com.
Equal housing lender. NMLS number 200719.
Diabetes, high blood pressure, anxiety meds, everyone's on them. If you're a 50-year-old male, maybe a bit beefy, or even with type 2 diabetes, $1 million of term insurance may only cost you about $200 a month. Affordable term life insurance is out there. Call Term Provider and speak with Big Lou at 800-481-1458, 800-481-1458, or visit biglou.com. Remember, Big Lou's like you. He's on meds, too.
We're planning a trip to Spain later this year.
But our Spanish
is pretty bad. So we're using Babbel.
Babbel's conversation-based method teaches you real-life words and phrases. And with Babbel's interactive bite-sized lessons, you'll remember what you learned.
There's no easier way to learn another language.
Ahora hablamos español.
He just said, now we speak Spanish.
Babbel, language for life. Now try Babbel for free. Just go to Babbel.com. That's Babbel.com.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
What's up, guys? Writes Tony. How hard would it be for Coach Ham and the coaches to install a type of defense where everyone is playing man-to-man except for Naheem McLeod, where he can play a zone in the paint? Are there any legit three-point shooting prospects signed for next season, meaning for us?
They do have a three-point shooter, right?
Mm-hmm.
The Tom House kid who plays with I think he's in Ohio. He plays with this famous YouTube kid named Gabe Cups, who's Brady's a fan of, that was telling me about him. They won like 34 games in a row to the state champs. So Tom House can really shoot. I don't know about the other kids. I know the big point guard they got is a big point guard. I watched his highlights. He's like a smaller Raekwon Gray. He's like 6'4", but gets his shot off. But yeah, the Tom House kid is the knockdown shooter of the class for sure.
Good. Marlon writes, hey, gents, can Coach Mike Norvell survive if we have another mediocre season?
Define mediocre.
Yeah. I wonder what that is. If that's, well, the definition of average would be 6-6, but of course all wins are not weighted the same for losses. So if he goes 6-6, which is a distinct possibility, he'll survive the season. He'll just be a dead man walking going into the next year. Is how
probably,
I think that's how that would work. Because if you go 6-6, you're not going to have a good recruiting class, and then you're a dead man walking, in all likelihood. And you will have, fair or not, everybody else can argue this, you will have lost all support. I mean, you can't fathom another middling to poor year and have people like, yeah, all right, let's go. People won't be that way. So, yeah, you'll see declined attendance, another poor recruiting class, or an average to poor recruiting class. And, I think he'd be dead. So, got to do better than 6-6, Mike. It seemed to be. Andrew writes, "Hi guys, hope you're well. I really appreciate your time and excellence in the way that you work your craft. It's great to listen to you all and learn some things and laugh too." Thanks, Andrew. If you could sit and watch a football game with any football coach, dead or alive, who would you pick? Oh wow,
Jimbo and his staff. I'd like to be in there when they're calling the national championship.
You see what that's like.
You know how close I just came to cussing. I mean, if this was the old days, if we were not live,
when you could bleep it,
we got a nice little F-bomb there, buddy. Yeah, I was pretty close. I'm proud of myself for not saying it.
Good work, Ira.
Yeah, showed some growth. Oh man, that is tough.
That's a good. So dead or alive? That's.
I guess I'd go with Amos Alonzo Stagg.
Okay.
Just to show him.
I thought you might
show him Bryce Young and be like, what would you have thought of this guy back in the 1910s or whatever it was you coached?
Yeah.
Does John Madden count?
That's a good one, man.
Yeah, he's dead and he's dead.
But I mean, he's more. A lot of people see him more as a commentator than a coach.
Super Bowl winning coach.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you can. Madden's a good one to have chosen. I agree. Like, for example, I love Tom Landry, but I really wouldn't have wanted to sit and watch a football game with him.
You just sit there the whole time
stoically. Yeah.
Taking a sip of bourbon.
No, I doubt it. He would have been over there, holy roller in it, and he looked at me judgmental. It would have been every time I said, no, I don't think so.
Coach Bowden would have been cool. I mean, I've never did
to
that.
watch a game with him.
Just sit in a game that he's not involved, especially at his heyday.
In his prime.
In his prime.
Yeah,
if you're sitting there on the couch in '86 with Bobby Bowden watching an Alabama game, that probably would have been pretty cool.
I will say, I do love learning even from personalities that I loathe. Like, I think watching a game with Nick Saban breaking down player for player, game for, play for play, series for series would be very interesting. Just the same way it is with Jimbo, all jokes aside. Jimbo watching football, you've watched football with him, I've watched football with him. It's fascinating to see the way he looks at a player, a play, a scheme, a reason for a play working or not working, all that. There's no getting around. The man knows the game as thoroughly as anybody. So it is fascinating. I don't always have to like the guy. So I don't know. I might see Nick Saban, believe it or not.
Corey, did you give us a real answer or no? You going to give us one?
No, you guys covered it. There'd be a lot of interesting guys. I thought Amos Alonzo Stagg was a perfectly reasonable answer.
It was good. You're right. Newt Rockne wasn't your first thought, though?
Nah, screw that guy.
All right.
He got enough pub.
Nathaniel Hornblower writes, oh my God, what a great timing for the FSU football schedule drop, everybody, because the ding has crept out from the closet, crawled out from under the bed, and is now sitting in the chair in the corner of our bedroom. Pants off, chain smoking camels, staring at us as we pretend to sleep. That is correct, Nathaniel.
Oh,
he has.
man.
Yeah, here for you. Oh, I hate to do it, everybody, but there he is, the ding. That's unfortunate. Short of stunning Duke at Cameron or winning the ACC tournament, is there any realistic path left to get into the NCAA tournament? Does closing 8 of our last 10, putting us at 21-9, 14-6 in the conference, get us in, or is that not even enough?
Here's the thing, and Corey, you guys can rebut this. I think they could win 4 of their next 5, and if they did go on a run like he's talking about, I think they could get back in, but they have to do something crazy like that or win the ACC tournament.
Yeah. I mean, look, if they get in at it's going to be like as a 9 or a 9 through an 11 seed, or maybe the first 4 in, probably. But that Duke win is a monster win. Right. At Miami is a great win.
Well, they've got some doozy in the losses.
They've got a couple. They've got like Virginia Tech's. Virginia Tech's metrics aren't bad, so that won't kill them.
Yeah, South Carolina sucks.
The Georgia Tech loss is a real humdinger.
That loss is terrible.
That was a bad one. But yeah, man, it's not like they need a miracle run. I think if they get to, I don't know, 20 wins, 12 wins in the ACC, 13 wins in the ACC, they'll at least be on the bubble. I think they'll be squarely on the bubble because of that Duke win and the win at Miami. Those are good wins.
The reason I hate the bracketology stuff is because it's based on how you're playing right now. So you're saying, okay, they lost those last 2 teams, so now they're out. They can't get back in. Well, they could if they start winning again, and they could start winning again, especially if those guys come back. So I'm not, again, they do have to, they can't just kind of tread water. They obviously have to do some really nice things in the last 10 games.
Yeah, some really nice things. They're going to have to go nuts. And I guess it's possible, and I'm rooting for it to happen, and that would make it all that much more exciting to come out, lift yourself up off the deck with some guys missing, especially with the Malik Osborne stuff. That's really tough. I think Joshua means to say he doesn't love, but we'll see. I'll read it as is. I love August Florida State football at all. I think he's saying he doesn't. But hopefully the Duquesne game will be an old 8 p.m. One like the old days. Since we have 2 bye weeks this year, do you guys like how the schedule fell? Thanks and good Noles. I absolutely do. Absolutely. Yeah, the bye week after the Clemson game, before you go on the stretch where you play Georgia Tech, who's terrible, you should kill. This, in essence, gives you 2 weeks to prepare for Miami on the road. And also it comes at a time where you get done playing BC, Wake, NC State, Clemson, all of which will be physical games.
Yeah, you're going to need that bye there.
Yeah, that bye actually falls perfectly. I don't know why I'd forgotten the way this was set up, but when the bye came down after the LSU game last night, I was like, what the hell? And then I gathered myself and realized what was going on.
And just to touch on, I know, the Duquesne game in late August is not going to thrill a lot of people. And certainly if it's at noon, we'll all understand if nobody comes, but it was important because it did give you the chance to have the 2 byes. It did give you, because you're playing that game,
the week
in
zero
week 0
game.
game.
Yeah,
So
week 0 game gets you the extra bye.
You get to be 1-0, man. You get to be 1-0 for the first time in 5 years. You don't get to set some sort of record for losing your season opening game for the 6th straight year.
It'll be the first time in 6 years since 16. So
yeah, right. Yeah. So they've got 5 straight opening day losses. You need a W.
Bring it, Duquesne. Come and get it.
Yeah, come and get your whooping.
Jason writes, NFL Seminole related. Jeff, if Brady does retire from our Buccaneers, what are your thoughts on a possible Jameis return? And, oh, by the way, love the show.
He did retire, by the way.
He did retire. That's right. I doubt Jameis would want to come back to Tampa. If I look at it through his eyes, I don't think he'd want to come back to Tampa. So it makes this question moot. I don't know. I don't know. I think there's probably too much damage done. It'd probably be best for both parties to go elsewhere. I'm a big Jameis fan still. I'm still rooting for him to have a great career. I think it's still possible. I don't think it's surprising that after he got hurt, the Saints fell off a cliff.
That's the thing, man. People keep acting like Jameis's last year of football was that 35 touchdown, 35 interception, whatever he did.
Yeah.
50 interceptions, whatever it was.
It was 31 or whatever it was.
Yeah. That his half a year in New Orleans, he was good, man. He had like 13 and 4, I think, touchdowns, interceptions.
Yeah, he wasn't throwing the ball down the field like he used to.
What the defense gave him,
but he'd become. And I blame partly New Orleans anyhow, because in Breeze's last 3 years, all they did was check down, check down, check down, check down, check down. It became the most boring, ridiculous offense ever.
But they were efficient. He wasn't turning the ball over.
No, I'm not mad at Jameis. I'm just saying they also took away some of his greatest strengths. It was just, it's not real good football. He didn't do anything wrong. He got hurt. It sucks. I hope certainly he goes on. He needs to leave that sinking ship, which he's a free agent, so he should, because New Orleans is in deep trouble. They're in salary cap hell. Guys are leaving. Their coach just left. You can call it a day.
Yeah, but he has a chance to start there, right? Like, I don't know. There's not a ton of places where he goes where he's the presumed starter, so he might want to stick that out.
Maybe. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if the new coach will be like, yeah, I want Jameis or not. I don't know where he stands on that.
He looked good in that Mercedes-Benz Stadium up in Atlanta.
The other one, the Atlanta one. Yeah, you're right, buddy. Matt Ryan's not quite what he used to be. I don't know if you guys have watched him the last few years. I was going to say Sean Payton wouldn't be a bad coach to watch a game with. I think he'd be fun to watch. And I was also going to say Sean McVay would be fun, because after every play I could go, would you challenge that? Would you challenge that one? What about that one? That 7-yard run. Would you challenge that one?
You could ask him to bench press with his dad.
Yeah.
And everybody would just be like, isn't this the coolest?
Sure.
Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio. Warchant TV continues in a moment.
News now.
A second person has been arrested in connection to the shooting death of Florida A&M graduate student Michaela Bryant. Tallahassee police arrested Khalil Ogilvie on Monday. Ogilvie allegedly approached a vehicle Bryant was in and attempted to rob the driver, who police identified as Precious Charlton. Ogilvie and Bryant grappled over a gun and it went off. Ogilvie faces a first-degree felony murder charge. Charlton was charged with 1 count of third-degree felony murder and drug possession with intent to sell. In Gadsden County, a 19-year-old is said to have serious injuries after a crash. On County Road 157 near Bell Road around 2:30 a.m. Sunday, the driver collided with a culvert, causing the vehicle to go airborne for roughly 100 feet before landing nose down, flipping multiple times. The vehicle continued to travel for 150 feet before coming to a stop. The cause of the crash is unknown at this time. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at macklemoresystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Partly cloudy this afternoon with highs around 69. Southeasterly winds 5 to 10 miles per hour. Partly cloudy skies tonight. Lows dip down to about 49. Highs level off around 73 tomorrow. A blend of clouds and sun. Mid-70s Thursday, turning cooler Friday with highs in the low 70s and scattered showers possible. This report is brought to you by the Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 69.
If you weren't the owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
You know, I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be, a boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Life is stressful. Dinner shouldn't be. That motto is why Register Sausage has been doing business in the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. A proud sponsor of Seminole Headlines, Register Sausage always provides the best Southern smoked sausage to over 140 grocery stores and restaurants throughout the Southeast. Headliners have discovered the Register's difference. You can too. To find a store that carries Registers near you or to buy directly, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com. Register Sausage. Yay, sausage!
Here's what you missed on the Greg Tish Show. Of 97 patients, 33 are vaccinated, and 63% are considered incidental.
See, this is what I'm upset about. He's basically made up the percentages to look like it's at 100%, but the two are not related to each other.
What's 37% of 97?
It's 35.89.
So why in the hell can't he literally ask iPhone to include that in his articles?
Maybe he's got an Android.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3.
Seminole Headlines is brought to you by Register Sausage, serving the Florida Panhandle and Lower Alabama for over 75 years. To find a store near you or to buy directly from Registers, head to registermeats.com. That's registermeats.com.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
More questions, my friends. Michael writes, when I prayed to the football gods for no Thursday night games, should I have been more specific? Yeah. I would love to, I probably shouldn't say this because you guys are going to go by all means. But I'd love to go cover that Louisville game on the road on the September the 16th on a Friday.
What's funny is in our group text, Aslan was making fun of, he said we should do a live show of me and Corey battling to see who doesn't get to go.
Well, I'll step in, guys, and go, but one of you has to come with me.
Right.
So you two flip a coin and say, sorry, you have to go with Jeff,
Well, the thing
whatever it is.
The one thing that stinks about that, kind of along the lines of what Corey was saying about people taking the trip to Tallahassee for the Florida game, is if I'm going to go to Louisville,
We'll
I'd
stay the
like to
weekend.
hang out in Louisville. I don't know.
I'll stay the weekend with you, buddy.
we?
We'll make
All
a
right.
weekend together. We'll go out and eat some good food.
Maybe we'll all
Churchill Downs is
Have-
running on Saturday,
have
probably.
whiskey, smoke some cigars, do it up.
That's what Corey. The only reason Corey wants to go to that game is he likes to play the horses, and he's had some success.
I had that one time. I had crazy success. That was nuts. That was the last bet I won.
So
That was
Corey-
that was the Thursday night game with Jameis up there. That was the last bet I won, I think, in any casino or horse track.
Gator Kirk writes, good afternoon. If the three of you were recruits, you would all get NLIs tomorrow. Thanks for the content. Go Noles. Yeah, so it's so weird to think about. Tomorrow is what? National Signing Day, right?
Yes.
The legitimate National
Oh,
Signing
is it really?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
He's
Oh,
not signing anybody. Yeah,
probably
yeah,
not.
no.
On that
boy.
topic, so let me ask you guys this: so when you go into a casino, Corey, because you've had a rough stretch in your last few
Yeah.
times to the casinos.
Oh, I don't like to hear about this.
Let
It's
me
a little
ask-
bit like,
But let me ask you this: well, he doesn't go with he's not blowing next month's mortgage.
no, I'm not
He
worried
just
about
has-
his well-being.
But let me ask you this: do you feel like it matters when you go into either a casino or
What
a
your
horse track?
mentality is?
If you're confident or not confident, does that affect the result?
No.
It feels like it does,
man. It depends on what you're betting on.
It feels like it does.
What are you betting on? Are you betting on something you have no earthly knowledge of to speak of and can be taken advantage of because you don't understand the percentage?
I'll say this. I know the odds of blackjack.
Right.
They're the best odds in the house.
That's correct.
I am confident every time I sit down.
And you never win.
The dealer's got a trick deck. Why? How come you always flip over a face card every time? I'm going to get a 4, and you're going to flip over a face card. And when you do happen to flip over a 4, the next card is a 6, and then you hit a queen every time. I hate that game.
Does his Atlanta sports mentality?
I think it's pervasive.
Is that leading to the cards?
I want to film myself playing blackjack just so you can see the phenomenon.
Listen, I haven't gambled big time blackjack in a while. I was at the Cosmopolitan in Vegas the last time I won any real money. And I won a lot on blackjack and stayed all night doing it.
That's how they get you. Well, they give you a taste like, oh, man, this is an easy game.
Yeah.
But even like in poker, if you're running good and you feel good, man, the cards keep coming. Yeah. I don't know why that is.
You stay there long enough, that changes. I mean, it depends on if you know when to get up, walk away, take a little time.
Know when to hold them.
Know when to fold them. There's lots to do. But by the way, just to make you happy, since we all have kids here, much to the chagrin of my oldest son, somehow the line know when to hold them came up, and it was just like a turn of phrase about like Bryce making an argument for staying the night at a friend's house at the wrong time or something like that. And I'm like, don't push your luck. And so I said that, and then my wife was in the passenger seat, and she sang the next line, and then we broke all in.
There we go.
And sang it while my kids were cringing in the back of the car, and we sang the whole song. I kept it going. I went into the whole part with the dealer. He kept counting, and we kept going, and I could just see my son going, "What is this? What is this?"
Your kids are the perfect age for that. Now, Corey, do you do that to Brady?
Oh, I sing to him, sure.
But I mean, when he's mortified. Like
he doesn't. It's hard to mortify that kid. Like right now, I could tell you that he texted me during the break and said, "Oh boy, I'm so mad. I have to take a dump at school." He just texted me that, and he probably didn't want me to say it on air live.
He definitely didn't want you to say that on the air.
But I mean, he's my son. What are you going to do? He's my son. He comes with the territory.
He's not as easily embarrassed as what you're saying.
Yes, he does not get embarrassed. He really doesn't get embarrassed.
Part of singing Kenny Rogers in that situation is that he doesn't know the song. He's never heard the song, so he's like, "What is this crazy? What are mom and dad doing?" And I would sing it to her, and she'd sing the line back. I mean, we went all in. It was a little unsettling, I think, even for us. But once we saw how upset the two boys were, we were like, "Oh, you can't back down now."
Hey, enough of the Kenny Rogers talk. Eric was nice enough to give us a donation, and he asked what you guys thought about Dugans being retained, if you were surprised by it.
Thanks, Eric.
Thanks, Eric. We appreciate that, and I am surprised by it. We answered this question earlier. Eric, you might not have been here, not trying to take shots or anything like that, but I think we are surprised, and we think that it probably had more to do with, my opinion anyhow, was that they couldn't either get the guy they wanted or were turned down by somebody that they wanted. Either way, it's the same thing. I don't think the decision to retain Dugans was this, hey, well, you know what? You're doing such a good job. Let's keep this thing rolling. Not in my opinion anyhow. I think it's a mistake.
I mean,
it's an uncomfortable situation because, look, Ron Dugans as a player and a man, I respect him. All of those things are true, but obviously the evidence is overwhelming. He has not done a good job here.
Right. Receivers haven't been very good since he got here, and he hasn't stocked the roster with anybody of note. Yeah.
So
I feel like we're waiting for Jimbo to come in and talk about, hey, you got bills.
Yeah, you got debt.
You got debt.
Yeah,
you got debt.
You
can't just make it all go away.
If it was my favorite part of that.
Of course, poor Case and Beatty's stumbling off the field.
That was good. So there are several questions like this, and I appreciate that, but I don't know what you want me to do other than we acknowledge
people are mad. They wanted change. They wanted some big-time recruiter that was going to come in and start bringing big-time players, and that has to happen. I mean, that does – at some point they've got to get – better players at that position. Now, they did have this transfer class, and that's going to be a Band-Aid, and hopefully it's successful. But Florida State needs to recruit better at wide receiver than they have the last few years, and that's given. I'm
also going to note here, and it's on the subject without having to name names. I think if there's going to be a downfall for Norvell long-term, it is some of his hires. I'm not overly impressed, let's put it that way, with some of the off-the-field roles. And I won't get too specific here, but there's some guys that I don't know why they're here. and I don't feel like they're doing a good job. So that's something that if I'm going to be critical about, it would be more about that. I think he's a very good football coach. And I've said
Mike
that
Norvell.
time. Yeah, I think Mike Norvell is a very good football coach. Problems that I have up to this point have more to do with off-field personnel, stuff like that. Jason writes, at what point do you start to hard foil those? So Jason wants to know when we start rolling up those guys out there shooting threes. And Ira and I were talking about this during the break against Virginia Tech. Yeah, man, I think at some point you can tell somebody to run through somebody. Lose your balance. Something has to happen.
Lose your balance.
Something has to happen. You can't just be unfettered out there bombing threes and just embarrassing people. I was talking about this with the yo-yo dribbling and just to get you some and laughing in our faces. No, man.
I'm thinking if Linder had gotten out there, he might have kicked the dude in the nuts. Is that my allowed to say
No,
that?
Probably not.
But I think Linder would have
fondled him.
He would not have fondled him. But get one of the Vipers out there, they would have done something about it, is all I'm saying.
I would have said, guys, if you're not going to guard him, one of my Vipers are going to. Something's going to happen here because they can't do any worse.
And look, if you hit somebody in the nethers when they're shooting a three, that's probably an ejection, maybe for the season.
No, so be it.
But you got to make it look accidental.
Corey, I'm not talking about walking up and pulling a Chris Paul, who's done it more than once, by the way.
Hey, we saw Grayson Allen did whatever he wanted for 2 or 3 years.
Still doing it in the NBA, knocking guys out.
Breaking people's
so
arms.
apparently you don't have to be that cautious.
I'm saying
what I was going to say is maybe challenge late, because they do. That's what they do. They challenge late. And instead of flying by them, the one time you're going to foul them because you do it, you punch them right in the eye.
Or
and you shut their eye like Rocky, and they can't. You're not going to shoot with one eye, man. You ever tried that? It's hard.
It's easy to flail a knee.
Or like a windmill kick, like in UFC.
Now that would be an emphatic statement. You're off the team, but you're a legend.
Yeah, you get a statue.
Hang your jersey up in here. You had seen enough, sir. Clearly, yeah.
They would lead Sports Center with that,
and we would standing that kid.
He just, the inertia, man. It just took him. His leg flailed around. He didn't know what he was about to hit.
Yeah,
you're saying like he puts his hands on the ground and then flips around and kicks him like a donkey kick
in the neck.
Yeah,
in the neck. Kid goes flying into the stands.
I bet he's not hitting threes after that, is he?
Why don't you?
And then when they blow the whistle, be like, what
I do?
Yeah,
you're gonna call that now?
Yeah, you got to look around, make sure you're clueless. Like, what
you
the
sure
hell
I got
is this? Yeah, man, it's tough. Michael writes, after watching the ACC network do W's and L's with Miami losing only 3, I'm looking forward to your W's and L's soon, Jeff. That'll be on tomorrow's show. T. Lizzie will join me. I said 6-6 last year. Although he writes that I did say 5-7 was a possibility. Didn't Tom take 8-4? Taking shots at Tom. I like it, Michael. The W's and L's and the bowl swag announcements get Brian Kelly excited, and TikTok himself doing the gritty. Okay, I'm not reading any more here about the dancing.
They were bullish on. Apparently, they were bullish on the Canes, and EJ was in on that. I think they were expecting a big season from Miami. We'll see. I mean, the quarterback's nice, no question.
They still don't have coordinators.
They don't have any coaches. Like half their staff is in transit.
Oh, I did watch the video, by the way. I forgot to tell y'all that.
Oh,
I watched the rap video in during the break when I was taking my sweatshirt off.
What'd you think?
I like how it starts when Norvell comes into the studio. It's like, "What's up, baby?" Like, and he hugs the guy. That was funny.
Turning the controls.
Yeah, when he takes the control, it's fine. It's fine. They were having fun. It's not embarrassing. It is what it is. It's fine.
I'm pulling up Miami's schedule.
It's better than the Seminole rap. I can tell you that much. Now, the Seminole rap featured, I'm going to go ahead and say, better players.
Yeah.
Than this one. But it's not nearly as embarrassing as that.
I think the people who are down at it are the people who are like, you know what, man, let's start winning games and then we'll start putting out videos. But man, whatever. Is it, have some fun.
By the way, Ira, you, oddly enough, will be a huge fan. You might even take it to Kyle Field in College Station on Saturday, September the 17th, when Texas A&M hosts the Miami Hurricanes. Big fan of Jimbo that weekend, huh?
And I saw that when I was watching the show. I'm like, what is Miami doing going to A&M? What are they doing? And it's a late game. It's in November.
No, that's I think it's Saturday, September the 17th, my friend.
Oh, you said November. So it's early on in the season, which I assumed, but you said November, so you screwed me up.
I don't know that
I think you said September.
I said September. Corey, get your ears together, baby.
I can't wait to go
please do. You frequently go back and find out you're wrong. We know how this works.
But the apologies are always off the air.
Or not at all. Or not at all.
I don't have nothing to apologize for.
Yeah. All right, so, I mean, we can have a little fun with this. For the Canes' supposed big season, according to the ACC network, I don't disagree they're going to be better, I think, although they were pretty good last year. Bethune, that's a win. Southern Miss, that's a win. Then they take it to Texas A&M, that's a loss. They're 2-1 at that point. They play Middle Tennessee, 3-1. Then they have an off week. Then they host North Carolina, who knows. Then it's at Virginia Tech. Then they host Duke, at Virginia, who's going to be terrible this year. They host us. Then they're at Georgia Tech. That's a win. Then they're at Clemson, penultimate game of the year. And then they host Pitt. I mean, that's probably a good season.
It's an easy schedule.
Yeah. It feels pretty good.
They shouldn't have more than 4 losses in that. If they do, then it's,
Then it's time to celebrate.
Yeah. Time to get rid of Cristobal.
Come back, wrap it up momentarily. Seminole Headlines, 93.3 Real Talk Radio and Warchant TV. The owner of Gordo's and all those wonderful restaurants, Eddie, what would you be doing?
I think I'd want to be I don't know what I'd want to be. A boat captain or a cowboy.
You know how to use a lasso?
No.
You'd have to do that if you were a cowboy.
Yeah, but I've never even been on a horse. It's not my place to be on a horse.
I agree. And the horse thanks you. Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Well, so far this month has already been a long, cold year. But nothing breaks up the cold like a cozy, warm fireplace in your home from Hearth and Patio. You may not know this, but many of today's modern, environmentally friendly indoor fireplace designs offer amazing energy efficiency. And when you get a new fireplace installed by Hearth and Patio, they will also service the equipment to make sure it lasts for years to come. Something else you may not know, Hearth and Patio can also repair your existing fireplace. I'm going to read you a recent review from a real customer. Donna says, our gas fireplace stopped working at a time when we experienced our coldest weather. I called other companies, but the earliest they could send someone out was 10 days. Then I called Hearth and Patio, and they had a technician at my house the next day. He not only was friendly, he fixed the problem and never tried to sell me something I did not need. It was so refreshing. I would not hesitate to call Hearth and Patio again. So the moral of the story is, when you need a fireplace repaired, replaced, or installed, just call Hearth and Patio at 727-4282 or find them online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-SparkConstruction.com.
My father always taught me that if you provide people with honesty and great service, your results will speak for themselves, and your customers will do the talking for you. When I hear contractors use catchphrases like most trusted, best of, and we beat any price, I'm reminded of my father's words. Just because you say it doesn't make it true. We work hard to earn our customers' trust and provide top-notch service so you can reach your own conclusion about us. Are you in need of roofing or construction services? Let us show you we are not about catchphrases or gimmicks to earn your business.
T-Spark Enterprises, roofing and construction services. T-Spark. TSparkConstruction.com.
License number CCC 1331204.
Live and living color and totally free. Subscribe to Warchant TV on YouTube, the digital home of Warchant.com. From the practice field to pregame and the phone calls afterwards, Warchant's YouTube channel is home to live programming like Seminole Headlines, Wake Up Warchant, The Jeff Cameron Show, as well as Trench Talk, a live Q&A with Noles offensive lineman Devontae Love-Taylor. Just search Warchant on YouTube and click or tap the subscribe button. That's it. It's totally free. Warchant TV on YouTube. Just another reason we're the ultimate Seminole sports source.
Seminole Headlines returns now. Head to YouTube and search for Warchant TV today to catch the show live or on demand. Now, here's Jeff Cameron, Ira Schofel, and Corey Clark.
If you're watching on TV, on Warchant TV, make sure you like and subscribe. And you also caught me not yelling, just having an exchange. Sign language with the producer is all that was. So nothing bad. We answered the questions, guys. I got to them all. It is a bit of the off season, but I exclude redundant questions where exactly. I mean, for the most part.
Smart. A Life Spectator asked a good question, and Norvell should have done it. He asked if Norvell was wearing the cornrows in the video back when he was a player, and he really should have. Man, that would have been a nice touch. That would have been funny.
Yeah, again, I don't know when you're 5-7. I'm not sure.
Maybe.
Sure.
Yeah, you're right. 10-2, 11-1. Go do whatever you
Yeah,
want.
do whatever you want to do at that point.
You can coach with them.
Show up to a game with them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Corey, I couldn't help but notice as the show has gone on, the sun has come through and
Dude,
captured,
it's about to blind me here soon. It's been creeping. It's been creeping at me for the last hour and a half. So a little bit of I have a vaulted ceiling in my house. Ira's been to this house. It gets cold here at night. It's like 35 outside. Well, my heat rises to the point where downstairs it doesn't get above 60, and I've got the heat on. I've got the heat set at 73. And I'm telling you, when I walked in last night from Brady's basketball game, it was 58 degrees in my house.
You need like 2 or 3 different HVAC units in that castle.
I was gonna say, little inefficient.
No, I've got 2. But there's no vents on the floor. They're all up high because whoever made it didn't think. So upstairs it's 80 degrees. You've also noticed I've taken my sweatshirt off. Like this is next. It's just going to be bare-chested Clark for the last 5 minutes. It is a sauna up here.
Jeff brings up a good point. How much time did you look around that house before you decided to buy it?
I want to answer this, Corey. I want to answer this. So first, let's start with how many houses did you look at in the process?
Over, under 3.
I'm going to say under.
I'll say under also.
I think it was right at 3, but one of them had a yappy dog that bit Brady.
Oh,
so we ruled that one out.
Yeah,
right. We ruled that one out.
So I knew you spent little to no time buying the house. And then my guess is, given that you're critical of the way it's designed, you also didn't notice as you walked the grounds that this is possibly a problem. So I'm not sure that you were observant of the details of this house either. Is that a fair assessment? Other than to say it's big enough, it's near where I want to live.
I can find my way here.
I can get to and fro rather easily.
It's a very fair assessment. I did have it inspected though, and my guy that does it, he's a heating and air guy. I would have hoped he'd have looked up and said, "Hey, in the winter it might be an issue. Like it's going to be 59 degrees down in your down. Like I can't watch TV at night. I have to go upstairs and watch it under my electric blanket in bed with my iPad."
All the realtors out there that listen, Reggie, our friend Reggie, all the other realtors that listen. Corey. You're gonna plenty of customers who are a pain in the butt. And they want to negotiate every detail, and they want to question every detail, and they want to do this and they want to do that. But then every once in a while, you get a Corey.
Yeah. Just tell me where to sign.
Yeah, I'm ready to go. Well, I rather admire it. I thought about this before because another time you bought a very nice car, and within a month you had ruined it.
Yeah.
And I remember seeing you pull up in that car at first, being very impressed with the decision, and then bitterly disappointed by the abuse that poor car took.
That was a rough one.
I like that you've settled in. You have a really middle class car.
It wasn't your fault that the turn signal kept breaking off or whatever it was that
happened. Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
and then it was also the antenna got knocked off when I backed out of my garage too quickly.
And the side mirror also was broken and hanging for a time.
Wasn't it like a quarter panel that kind of came off?
So yeah, I guess I would go with Amos Alonzo Stagg as the coach that I would watch a football game with. This has been a fun end of the show, guys. Thanks. I can't wait to get back in the studio.
It's actually a compliment. You're not about things. You're not about things.
Right. True. Well, that's true.
Story is all about experiences and people and kindness and love and interaction. It's not about things. Don't waste your money on things, Corey, because you're not going to take care of them.
Well, yeah, I've learned that. This house, if I took you about a tour of this house, you'd be like, "What are you? Brady lives like this?" But it's a nice house in a nice neighborhood, but I'm not. It needs somebody, another touch, because Corey's touch sucks. I wanted to say a woman's touch, but I didn't want to be sexist. It just needs somebody here that wants
to clean up and
right. See, that's why I didn't say it. So I said just a touch.
Really quickly, by the way, a few people added that regarding the schedule, and this will be the final thing here. We didn't do a W's and L's yet. We'll wait to do a Seminole Headlines W's and L's after spring.
And you need to do the Jeff Cameron show.
Oh, we've done that. Yeah, we're going to do that tomorrow. But
hey, real quick, I think George McLeod is getting his jersey retired. The email is kind of vague. But I think congratulations to George McLeod for getting his jersey either celebrated or retired. I can't tell, but they're going to honor George McLeod maybe on Saturday.
One of my buddies from high school was cousins with George McLeod.
There you go. Well, good for George McLeod. Congratulations. For Ira, for Corey, I'm Jeff. Thank you, Matthew. Be well, everybody. Appreciate you. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you again next time. Take care.